It's official. The game is over. The board flipped. The king was forced to move by the very pawn he thought he could block. And no, this isn't a chess game. This is Zimbabwean politics, where betrayal is an Olympic sport and the gold medals goes to whoever backstabs with the biggest smile. We are witnessing a moment so theatrical, so brutally ironic that even Shakespeare would have called it too on the nose. In this strange performance, where loyalty is currency and humiliation is public sport, Chiwenga has now become the main attraction in a tragedy he thought he was directing. And yet, the plot thickens. Because what happened yesterday wasn't just political theater. It was a public flogging dressed up as a party meeting. Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, yes, the retired general who once roared like a lion post-coup demanding discipline, unity and command, was yesterday reduced to a ceremonial prop, literally cheering his own humiliation. Because guess what? At yesterday's Politburo meeting, Chiwenga was forced by Mnangagwa himself to preside over the induction of none other than Kudakwashe Tagwirei into the ZANU PF Central Committee. That's right. The same Tagwirei that Chiwenga, Mpofu and Mutsvangwa have been fighting tooth and nail to block like it's a spiritual calling. But even more staggering than the act itself was the silence in the room. An eerie, stifled quiet as the general who once commanded troops now struggled to control his own facial muscles. It was a masterclass in controlled humiliation, and the nation watched with the sort of captivated horror normally reserved for regime change thrillers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment Chiwenga lost the war without a shot fired. The general who once bagged orders and orchestrated Operation Restore Lagos with military precision is now being outmaneuvered by a fuel tycoon in a suit. The silence of his allies is deafening. The glee of his enemies almost audible. And while the world debates succession scenarios and palace intrigue, the reality is much simpler. Yesterday was the symbolic death of Chiwenga's political dreams. But how exactly did Mnangagwa pull it off with such surgical precision? Buckle in, because the deeper you dig, the dirtier it gets. Let's break this down. Mnangagwa didn't just allow Tagwirei's appointment. He choreographed it like a ballet. The meeting, chaired by a visibly uncomfortable Chiwenga, was a calculated slap in the face. It's not every day you see a vice president publicly stripped of authority without even a headline to defend him. It never rains, it pours, it floods, and then the crocodile swims away with your crown. And if anyone thought this was accidental or political naivety, think again. This was Mnangagwa at his most ruthless, making it clear that no general, no matter how decorated, can override a billionaire with presidential blessings. So now, the question is, was this a once-off humiliation or the beginning of a systematic dismantling of Chiwenga's entire support base? Last week, we were graced with theatrics from Tagwirei, hugging the president like he's a friend. Why Fudzamombenai? And then we had Chiwenga giving an ultimatum to the Harare province to return the cars that they were given in the name of ZANU PF back to Jongwe House. But within those 72 hours, you know what happened? No, the cars didn't go back. Tagwirei was inducted into the Central Committee instead. What about Mpofu? Now, that one's been left clutching nothing but a dusty copy of the ZANU PF Constitution, hoping no one remembers that he once thundered against Tagwirei's ambitions with righteous anger. Mutsvangwa? Oh, the man who mocked Queen Bee as a greedy businessman trying to hijack the revolution. Hold on, let me just play a clip.
We will not accept foisted heroes. in this party. Don't foist us with your heroes. We will not accept foisted heroes. We know our heroes. Pano pa ZANU PF. And those are not one of them. Such a given home road moda kuti papanap. We will not accept.
Yeah, that's Chris Mutsvangwa. Well, he now looks like a man who brought a knife to a gunfight, only to discover the gun was a drone strike, armed with internet receipts. The political theater has shifted from dramatic monologues to digital warfare, and Tagwirei came armed with data, documents, and the blessings of the emperor himself. Yet, beneath all this drama lies an uncomfortable truth. ZANU PF has officially chosen its new inner circle, and the gatekeepers have been locked outside. Yes, you heard that right. Tagwirei's rise was sealed with evidence from the internet. Reports say Mnangagwa's inner circle debunked every allegation held at Tagwirei with documents, tweets, and online trails. Apparently, in today's ZANU PF, your future isn't determined by war credentials. It's determined by Google search results and server logs. Welcome to the 21st century of Zimbabwean politics, where your enemy's WhatsApp voice note could save your career. It's a brave new world where power doesn't flow from the barrel of a gun, but from the comment section of a leaked PDF, and those who can't adapt are simply dragged into irrelevance. So, is this the death of liberation credentials in modern Zimbabwe politics, or is it just the birth of a new digital dictatorship? To add on to this, Kudakwashe Tagwirei had one up his sleeves. He went to campaign for ZANU PF in Epworth, dished out money. People gathered to see Tagwirei. Poor people gathered in the hope of receiving dollars flying from Tagwirei's hands. And according to ZANU PF, Harare province, this strategy worked and is the only strategy that they need to win the whole of the Harare province. So this came as an added advantage for Kudakwashe Tagwirei to be inducted into the Central Committee. Evidence, Baba, evidence. Zimwaves family, what do you think? Is this the final blow to Chiwenga's presidential dreams? Should Zimbabwe brace for retaliation or resignation? Comment below and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Zimwaves TV because this saga is only getting started. Back to the drama. This induction wasn't just symbolic, it was surgical. Mnangagwa used the full weight of the Politburo to crush dissent and declare once and for all that Tagwirei is not just his financier, he is now family, political family. And in ZANU PF, that means you are untouchable until death or factionalism do you part. This move was a declaration that oil money, not liberation blood, now powers the party engine. Tagwirei didn't enter through the back door. He was paraded through the front gate while the generals watched from the gallery. And make no mistake, this wasn't just about Central Committee status. This was about reminding every soldier, minister, and factional darling who the real emperor is. Meanwhile, Chiwenga's silence spoke volumes. The same man who was once hailed as the power broker behind Operation Restore Legacy is now watching the legacy get rebranded as Operation Restore Tagwirei. You could almost hear his military ego gasping for air beneath the polished table of that Politburo meeting room. Once feared for his thunderous voice and unblinking stare, Chiwenga now looks like a man reading a eulogy at his own political funeral. And while some analysts are still holding out hope for a comeback, others are already writing the postmortem. But the question that now lingers like tear gas in downtown Harare is this: will Chiwenga fight back or fade into the shadows like all the fallen giants before him? Let's not forget the broader implications. This move sends a chilling message to anyone still harboring illusions of a post-ED Zimbabwe led by someone other than ED's chosen puppet, or worse, his son. If Chiwenga can be humiliated like this in full daylight, what chance does anyone else have? Yesterday wasn't just a page, it was a preview. Mnangagwa has shown the script, handed out the roles, and killed off any unsanctioned characters. And the audience, the Zimbabwean public, watching in silence, hoping the sequel doesn't end with the same crocodile grin. And if this was Mnangagwa's way of testing loyalty before the 2028 election, then consider the test complete. He owns the game, the board, the players, and now he's even appointed the referee. There is no longer a contest. There is only compliance. Chiwenga's role as heir apparent is no longer pending. It's been quietly revoked. And with Tagwirei now sitting at the high table, the only thing left to guess is whether this was a political realignment or the unveiling of a long-planned dynasty. Obed Mpofu and Mutsvangwa, both of whom thought they could gatekeep ZANU PF's future, have now been politically pounced. Their strategic blunders, exposed alliances, and embarrassing outbursts are now archived in the party's museum of irrelevance. Tagwirei, meanwhile, walks in the calm confidence of a man who knows the president sleeps better knowing his fuel empire pays the bills. The irony is sweet. While the loudest men in the room were busy trading insults and drafting ultimatums, Tagwirei was quietly buying his way into the one room that truly matters. So, what's next? Does Chiwenga quietly bow out, or does he plot revenge with what few allies remain? Does Mutsvangwa take to another press conference in a new tie, trying to rebrand his humiliation as strategy? Or will Obed Mpofu finally learn that shouting in meetings doesn't make you matter? One thing is certain, the war is not over, but the balance of power has violently shifted. The next few weeks will either cement Tagwirei's rise or spark a factional explosion. Either way, Zimwaves will be watching and roasting. Does this mean Chiwenga has done this to create a real conflict or to create a support base from the war veterans who do not like Tagwirei? Whatever happens next, Zimwaves will be here to roast, unravel and report. Because in this country, where alliances flip faster than exchange rates and enemies become ministers overnight, only one truth remains: power protects itself. The rest is just theater. As I leave you watching the comments from previous episodes, don't forget to subscribe, because in Zimbabwe, power shifts faster than electricity. And at this rate, by tomorrow, even Tagwirei might be vice president.
Mnangagwa ari muhomwe ya wikinero, iyera ari muhomwe yechigananda, ZANU iri muhomwe makudakwashe, ona iri muhomwe yezvigananda. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Padukuduku varakashi vanonyora, mamuona here wikinero wedu. Pano nepano mazanu anoti, Kudakwashe Tagwirei akapenga. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Mnangagwa ari muhomwe ya wikinero, iye ari muhomwe yechigananda. ZANU iri muhomwe makudakwashe, ona iri muhomwe zvigananda. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri mumwe yegoronyera? Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva? Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Handei tese tese varida yasipora, tinobvisa Mnangagwa nezvigananda. Uyai mose vechipinge nekwaseke, chigananda chetinetsa muZimbabwe. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri mumwe yegoronyera? Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva? Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Mnangagwa ari muhomwe yawikinero, iye ari muhomwe yechigananda. ZANU iri muhomwe makudakwashe, hona iri muhomwe yezvigananda. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri mumwe yegoronyera? Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva? Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Mnangagwa ari muhomwe yawikinero, iye ari muhomwe yechigananda. ZANU iri muhomwe makudakwashe, hona iri muhomwe